Welcome back to Truth Hurts, where we expose corrupt politicians and lying corporate media. We're broadcasting live from Roseville, Minnesota, in the belly of the beast in this left-wing zombie apocalypse we call Minneapolis and St. Paul. Joining me, as usual, is none other than Mr. MAGA Jesse. What are we going to be talking about today, MAGA Jesse?
Oh, yeah, we got lots of good stuff here today. I mean, we got these RINO congressmen from Minnesota, all four of them getting out and endorsing Trump on the same exact day. That's a big story. Of course, we're $34 trillion in debt as a country now. NPR put out a bragging list of the worst things that the DFL has done, as if they're good things. We got tampons in the boys' bathrooms now, and the Democrats are now trying to say that Trump benefit from foreign countries. So
I hope we actually
lots
have enough,
of good stuff.
I hope we have enough time to talk about that story
right,
today, because we got
lots
a lot
to get
cover.
into.
That one's an interesting one. We got an interesting take on it too. I think. Running the dials as normal as Mr. Deep State himself, Dawson. How you doing there, buddy?
I am doing good. Brand new year and a new diet, and I'm feeling it for sure.
Oh my God! Did you guys see the meme of Chris Christie about diet starts on January 2nd? Did you see that one?
No, I didn't see that.
I gotta find that. I'll send it to you. Post it on the show.
All right.
Reading your comments today is MAGA Jesse. We're light on people in the studio, so if you want to join our conversation anytime, go to Rumble. We'll try to monitor Facebook and YouTube, but we really don't put much effort into those because they like to censor us. So please go to Rumble and put your comment there if you want to interrupt us anytime. Rumble Rant, you guys know the business. Please make sure you like this and tell the algorithms to share it with more people.
And to start it off, we got Tucker in the comments saying, good afternoon, everyone. Rodeo55 saying good afternoon as well. And Tucker says California is bankrupting their hospitals with health care for illegals as well. So it makes sense to me. I mean, that's what California is doing. They want to destroy themselves. They prefer themselves, the illegals that come in to the citizens of our country.
Dawson, is there a reason I don't see them on the feed?
I think it's just they're the top comments. They're not popping up
yeah,
yet.
it's from top down.
Okay, so I understand the technical reason now. Okay, so we were like, we got to talk about Epstein's list, right? Because that's what everyone's talking about, and it's like, no, we're not just talking about what everyone else is talking about. And quite frankly, and we'll get to it eventually in this program, but it's kind of not. It's actually what I suspected. Maybe not that big of a deal. I mean, it's a big deal in the sense that we just reiterated things we kind of know already, right?
If it was a big deal, the judge would have been Epstein. If it was a big deal what this judge was putting out there, the judge wouldn't be around anymore. But, it's a lot of stuff that we had seen before, a lot of names that we've heard before, so it didn't seem to be a whole lot of new information. But I still have to do my homework and research and dig through it all myself.
And they dumped it late last night, or something like that. So, all right, let's talk about these 4 congressmen from Minnesota that endorsed Donald Trump yesterday. This is the story. Of course, you read the mainstream media. They're giving little puff pieces for him. We're like, not so fast here. I don't know if they really do like Donald Trump. I mean, according to Donald Trump, Tom Emmer's a globalist rhino.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
What's behind the story? We'll pull up the article at actionforliberty.com where Jesse wrote about this.
Yeah, so it's a story that all of a sudden was coming out yesterday.
Dawson. Not that one. The A for L one. It's on line 7.
Yep, the first article there. Getting it pulled up there?
Yeah, give me a second.
All right. Yeah, and this is a huge story because all of a sudden we see these 4 congressmen out of Minnesota all lining up behind Trump. We didn't have any suspicion that any of them were Trump supporters to begin with, so they all decide to line up and be, grift behind the MAGA movement. So go ahead and scroll down there, Dawson, because that is the statement that the Minnesota Republican Congressional Delegation put out there, where they say, today House Majority Whip Tom Emmer, Congressman Brad Finstad, Congresswoman Michelle Fischbach, and Congressman Pete Stauber released the following statement regarding their endorsement of Donald J. Trump for President of the United States. Quote, Joe Biden's failed policies have left Minnesotans to grapple with double digits inflation, higher taxes, and a border crisis that has turned every community into a border community. Minnesotans and all Americans deserve better. It is time for Republicans to come together in support of a leader who has what it takes to get our country back on track. Together, we endorse Donald J. Trump for president. So, this
Why aren't you cheering? You should be so happy.
I know. And, I'm sure these RINOs are going to be out there saying nothing is enough for Action for Liberty. Nothing's going to be enough. And let me tell you what, if we see these RINOs masking themselves as MAGA, what are we taking that as? We see that they are afraid to maintain their power because that's all the politicians care about. And to bear in mind that this comes after Senator Nathan Weissenberg, who was the first Minnesota legislator to endorse President Trump was out there, and that was followed up by Patriot Representative Ben Davis as well. So, one might think that this unified front is a sign that our representatives are prepared to fight for the America First agenda and drain the swamp. Unfortunately, they're masquerading as patriots, and they're doing the bidding of the swamp. And establishment politicians like Emmer and Finstad, Fischbach, Stauber, they're out of touch with grassroots conservatives. They pull off moves like this to deflect and fool the uninformed voters. And, I think it's funny. They don't do this until Trump is 49 points ahead of the entire Republican field. That's the latest poll that I had seen out there, that Trump is 49 points ahead. That shows that DeSanctimonious, that shows that Nimrod and Nikki Haley, Bird Brain, and Krispy Kreme, all of them, it shows that they have no chance, and all of these congressmen have waited on the sidelines until it was 100% obvious that Trump was going to be the candidate. So sometimes that's even worse than someone who endorsed DeSantis or someone who endorsed Vivek or something like that, because then we actually knew where they stood. But with these people, they all just wait for the political winds to go whichever way, and in this case, it's for Trump. But continuing on here,
and it's also real close to the Iowa caucuses. Mm-hmm. What are we, 2 weeks away now from the Iowa caucuses? So, they can kind of see the writing on the wall. I mean, there's not a chance anyone else is taking Iowa. Mm-hmm. I had a guy, political guy from Iowa, in the office over the holiday season, Christmas season, and he thought, it's going to be closer than a lot of people are talking about it. He seemed to think DeSantis is going to do better, but boy, it just doesn't seem like that when you see the momentum on the ground.
Right, it doesn't seem like it, and I think almost every single debate, if you look at the pre-debate polls versus the post-debate polls, DeSantis has almost always lost support after these debates. A lot of those supporters are going to Trump. And
but it does come down to a ground game. That's the thing that people have to understand. The polls don't really matter so much, post-election post-debate poll. It's who organizes the ground game, and that's why actually people are a little worried about Nikki Haley, because Americans for Prosperity, which has a decent presence in Iowa, has endorsed her, and so she now probably benefits from that ground game, but probably not enough to take out Trump.
Oh yeah, no way. She's same thing with Chris Christie, thinking all about New Hampshire. She doesn't have as much stake in Iowa, and DeSantis is the one who's expected to take second place in Iowa. But like I said, he continues to tank his support. It's not looking good for him. And I think what's going on with these endorsements here, I think the congressmen have become fully aware that they're not going to continue to be reelected. And they're going to be seen as anti-Trump RINOs unless they endorse him. They knew they had to. It's a desperate endorsement, but a lot of people are seeing right through it. Let's go back to the article there, Dawson, because it's clear that they fear primary challengers. Most notably, Michelle Fischbach has a constitutionalist businessman running against her in the primary, Steve Boyd. So this endorsement is made to fool voters from her safe red district, where she has shown no sign that she will truly implement a MAGA agenda. So scroll down there, Dawson, because what I think is probably the most embarrassing and humiliating moment of Tom Emmer's life is to have to give this endorsement right now. Because what did Donald Trump say about Tom Emmer here? He said,
and the timeline matters here. So Tom Emmer becomes the go-to guy for the next speaker job.
Right.
And so they're about to take a vote on Tom Emmer, and this is what Donald Trump fires off at Truth Social.
Yeah, that's right. Because Tom Emmer, a lot of people forget, but, he had a short-lived stint where he was going to be our next speaker. It was the best 2 hours of his life until this Truth Social post got put out there where Trump said, "I have many wonderful friends wanting to be Speaker of the House, and some are truly great warriors. RINO Tom Emmer, who I do not know well, is not one of them. He has never respected the power of a Trump endorsement or the breadth and scope of MAGA, Make America Great Again. He fought me all along the way and actually did more time defending Ilhan Omar than he did me. He is completely out of touch with Republican voters. I believe that he has now learned his lesson because he is saying that he is pro-Trump all the way. But who can ever be sure? Has he only changed because that's what it takes to win? The Republican Party cannot take that chance because that's not where the America First voters are. Voting for a globalist RINO like Tom Emmer would be a tragic mistake. So that is what Trump thinks about Emmer. How embarrassing, how humiliating is it for Emmer to be out there? He didn't even address that when that went on. He wasn't answering any questions about it. He wasn't talking about what Trump said. He was just saying a whole lot of nothing at the time. How embarrassing is it for him to now be out there saying, I support Trump? It shows how much of a little bitch he is, honestly.
That's exactly what goes through my head. I'm just going to be honest here. It seems like you're a little bitch because if someone said that about me, I'd be like, screw you.
Yeah.
Honestly, you're done, man. Like, I don't give a crap. If you say that stuff about me,
right?
Now, quite frankly, if I am a globalist rhino, maybe I guess I don't care. I'm just playing the political angle all the time anyhow.
Yeah.
Well, actually, isn't that the whole point here? Mm-hmm. If it almost proves Donald Trump correct here.
Yeah.
Because let's just imagine Tom Emmer was a very principled man for a second, okay? Then you have the reaction I have. Screw you. This guy is unhinged. This guy lies. There's no way I would support this guy. You guys should not support that guy. That's what you'd say. But if you really don't give a crap, you have no principles, and all you see is your political future, you're making politically calculated decisions, those are people we don't like,
Yep.
the politicians' politically calculated decisions, then aren't you just a globalist rhino, right? Isn't that true? So it kind of proves the point.
Oh, yeah.
Like another 4D chess by Donald Trump on that one.
Yeah, and you're right. It's a weird situation because it's true. He is a globalist rhino, but like you're saying, if someone said that about me where it wasn't true, I would be ready to fight. I'd be ready to go after that person. I wouldn't just take it laying down, but that's exactly what Emmer does because he's a total politician, a total crook. And one more thing in that article, go ahead and pull that back up there, Dawson. Scroll down there because Trump had thanked Tom Emmer for this new endorsement. He said, "Thank you, Tom. I will never let our country down." And I like what he said there because he didn't say, "I'll never let you down" to Tom. He's saying, "I'll never let our country down." Because what that really means to me is he's going to take on the deep state. That means to me that he's going to finish the war on the deep state and the globalist agenda, restore clean and proper American elections, and save America from the establishment, corrupt, rhino politicians. So the MAGA agenda is not aligned with what Tom Emmer wants to see happen for the country. And, it just shows that he's going with the political winds. He's nervous. Same thing with Michelle Fischbach, Stauber, and Finstad. They all feel the need because they're not able to individually think for themselves. True Trump supporters, where were we when it happened? We were supporting Trump day one as soon as he announced. Where are these people? They're not coming until Trump is 49 points ahead of everyone else. It shows you exactly what they are, just another crony, corrupt politician.
Yeah, you know where I'm personally at? I just am not. I'm not in any camp at this point. Like, I just don't care. Like, honestly, there's the biggest argument on the table right now is just voting for Trump to see how things go. Right? That's guys like me, because Trump doesn't really embrace my principles. I'm not trying to rehash the same arguments we've had all the time. I see all the faults of the other ones. I wouldn't vote for Nikki Haley. No chance. Right? So there are people like me that are like, yeah, I'm going to focus my political energy elsewhere, not on the presidential election. Although I will say it makes a big difference in this election cycle, but it's just, I don't know. I sit back here and I watch this crap. I'm like, this is the phoniness of politics. Oh, yeah, I endorse Donald Trump. No, you don't. We know. But there's actually another argument. I saw Ganser was talking about how, yeah, it's viable in the general election. Here's another calculation that's probably being made. Emmer's, in many regards, responsible for fundraising nationally, but certainly to the congressional delegation of Minnesota. This might be a chance for them to start coalescing around Trump to stop money getting wasted on other candidates. I had a good political friend of mine suggest that. I'm like, that makes a lot of sense to me. But to me, I don't for 1 second believe that these guys are genuine about that endorsement. And here's the other funny thing. This doesn't help Donald Trump one iota. There's no one out there that goes, oh, well, that's what Brad Finstad says. I'm now voting for Donald Trump. No one goes, Michelle Fischbach is for Trump. Oh, now I will support Trump. It doesn't benefit Donald Trump at all. So I kind of like his response. Here's who is benefiting from it. You have literally, and you hit it on the head. You got Steve Boyd, and we've had him on a show. Good guy, man. I like that guy. Against Michelle Fischbach. Let's just be honest. She's going to be an insider crony. We've seen her record here in the Minnesota Senate. So here she now portrays himself as a MAGA person, right? And this is why you wrote the article Grift, right? And she benefits because people go, well, why do I go to the Steve Boyd of the world if you're on board? So here's my question for you. Are people going to get duped by it? Do you think they'll get fooled?
I think a certain amount will. I mean, people already are. They're saying, look at this, they're MAGA, they're coming out for Trump. But I mean, anyone who's paying close attention knows why they're doing it for their own political purposes. It's not because they're principled people who believe that Trump should be our nominee. It's because they see that DeSantis has no chance. If DeSantis had a chance, they'd all get behind DeSantis. Yeah. But they want to restore their political future, and by making no endorsement, that tells us that you don't like Trump. So that's the situation that they're at now. And I want to read some of these comments here, seeing a few of them here. Let's see. Napkin Nader says, bend the knee and kiss the ring emmer. I agree, that's exactly what happened. We got Razzles Dazzles. Doesn't matter. Trump hates all these swamp creatures. As you know, Brad had said, there has been a notable shift in sentiment, and it's clear that Trump is now viable in the general election. They will all start to line up now. Razzle Dazzle also says, those politicians are running scared, drain the swamp creatures. Agreed, Jesse. Tucker says, I expected Finstad to endorse Trump. Donald J. Trump appointed him for the USDA head of rural development for Minnesota or something like that. And Brad says he's still with DeSanctimonious. Sorry to hear that, Brad. And
did he actually write DeSanctimonious, or did
no? He said meatball. He said I'm still meatball MAGA.
Okay, meatball MAGA.
Yep. And see, Base Minnesota, I'm with you, Jake. None of these turds do anything for me.
Thank you.
Hate Minnesota says Finstad helped author legislation here in Minnesota where we could be forcibly removed from our homes and put into I don't know if that's caps or camps regarding public health issues. Camps, okay. And
we have a base Minnesota, a hate Minnesota.
Yeah.
I love Minnesota. We should have a love Minnesota.
Uh-huh.
Let's go to this. So yesterday, was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. We surpassed $34 trillion in debt. So this, you look at this list, the Pete Staubers, the Tom Emmers of the world, these guys got the blood on their hands in terms of $34 trillion in debt. Mm-hmm. These are guys that voted for the debt. I'm guessing, Finstad's so new, and Fishbach, I'd have to look. I think she's taken better votes as a senator. Yeah, we have U.S. debt tops a whopping $34 trillion. Now, in the case of Tom Emmer, let's scroll down here real quick. Let's remember what the problem is. This is a chart from the Federal Reserve creating money out of thin air and buying the U.S. government debt. So when we say debt, it's not like we just owe that debt to China. It's like literally money that was just created out of thin air. You wonder why we have higher prices in goods and services. It's because of that right there. It's called quantitative easing. They just make money and then they buy government debt. By the way, it's whatever interest rate return they get is all pure profit. What do they care? So, yeah, these guys, that's not making America. Let's just be honest. That is not making America great again.
No way.
The one problem with Donald Trump is the guy didn't veto massive spending bills. Mm-hmm. And that's what I hope, if he gets reelected, he has the courage to do this go around. Mm-hmm. Because that was a big disappointment in my book.
Yeah, and I really hope Vivek is a legitimate person, that he's not a fraud, that he's not a scam, because, he's saying that kind of stuff perfectly well. And he's making the case on some of this stuff that, we need to eliminate 50 to 75% of our federal government if we really want to be able to maintain the programs that we have, if we really want to, just not allow our country to go to hell with our inflation, with our money supply, with our debt, because our country's in a very bad financial situation, and it's going to take someone to cut some deals. And
but Vivek's in a situation where he can say whatever the hell he wants. He's got no shot, right?
Yep, and no record to go off.
And this is the thing about Vivek. I hope, I'm agreeing with you. I hope he's sincere. I just have huge doubts. Mm-hmm. But just think about this. It's like, weren't we talking about this article or the story about Vivek is possibly, no, he pulled the ads out of New Hampshire, right? Mm-hmm. So he canceled his big ad buy in New Hampshire, and there's speculation that he'll endorse Trump.
Yeah.
Maybe he goes through the caucus. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But, that's not what Trump said. Trump said, Vivek is a good man. He's not done running yet. He's got more to do, but I'm sure he will endorse me, mm-hmm. In a Trump-esque way on Truth Social. Yeah. So I guess we'll still have to see what's to come of Vivek, if he's actually going to try to run this thing through. I think he's going to perform better in Iowa than expected. And, I'm thinking he's probably eating away at some of the Trump and DeSantis voters. So it'll be interesting to see how well he does and what he ends up doing.
Are we going to do a live Iowa caucus? The Iowa caucus is on Martin Luther King Day?
Oh, is it?
I thought the Iowa caucus on January 15th. That's interesting. I thought caucuses were on Tuesdays. Let me just make sure. Iowa caucus.
Yeah, this says January 15th.
Yeah, I've always had that in my head. It's the 15th. It's on Monday the 15th.
Yep.
Martin Luther King Day.
Interesting.
Okay. Maybe we should be doing a live episode of the caucuses. Although maybe it doesn't matter because we'll be live the next day anyhow. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see as we get closer to it. Although, of course, if we do it in the evening, we could have the straight-laced William. And then you could antagonize him when his boy loses.
Yep.
Okay, let's get into this story.
It's bound to happen.
Yeah. NPR, I mean, it's just another wing of the Democrat Party. We all know this, right? NPR, Minnesota Public Radio, NPR, National Public Radio, right? They have this graphic that they produce of all the things that got done in Minnesota in 2023. Pull up this graphic, Dawson. You would literally think the Democrat PR agency or staff created this for them. Legalized recreational cannabis, free school breakfasts and lunches, guaranteed right to reproductive and gender-affirming care services. By the way, those are literally using the talking points to the left, right? You know, reproductive. You can't say abortion is reproductive because it's the antithesis of reproduction, right? It is the lack of reproduction. But they say that, okay? New state flag. They're bragging about that. Tax rebates, in quotations, and some hikes. That's it. Just some hikes. Push for clean energy. Push for clean energy. It's actually like literally making it illegal not to have or to have carbon fuel sources. Gun restrictions. Restored voting rights for felons. Free college tuition for some. Driver's license regardless of immigration status. Not on the list, and this is a story I think a lot of people are realizing. And there's a lot of things. I mean, red flag gun seizures just went into effect. But a lot of talk around town right now is tampons.
Yeah.
Tampons in boys' bathrooms. Pull up the article on this. We actually uncovered here at Truth Hurts who voted for this thing. It's not just Democrats. There's actually, I want to make sure we understand this, Senator Carla Nelson, not the Patriot Carla Nelson, who's a frequent audience member of the show, but the Senator Carla Nelson, one Republican, voted for this thing. This comes from a bill that passed back in the last legislative session. It is, let's see here. I don't have it. Oh, my links aren't working in here for some reason. HF 2497. That's the name of the bill. It's the Education Finance Omnibus Bill. So this is what it says in it. Access to menstrual products. A school district or charter school must provide students with access to menstrual products at no charge. The products must be available to all menstruating students in restrooms regularly used by students in grade 4th to 12 according to plan developed by the school district. Now, what this has later gone on to, and I think this was brought up in the committees and then in terms of implementation, is the term all. Well, if boys can menstruate, and this is what these nutbags think, then they must be available in the boys' restroom. So, yes, they are going to be starting to implement the boys' bathroom. Listen, you don't need to be a genius to realize what's going to happen, right? The boys are going to think this is hilarious. They're going to damage these things, throw them around, throw them at people in classes, right?
It's going to be awesome.
They're boys. That's what's going to happen. This is the dumbest thing on the planet, okay? By the way, even if you are a girl who identifies as a boy, why on earth would you want to go to a boy's bathroom? That's like I could understand a boy wanting to be a girl. I just watched Dave Chappelle's newest comedy special, which honestly I didn't think it was that great, and I'm a big Chappelle fan.
I haven't seen it yet.
But he didn't back down from the trans community, so that was good. But he kind of made the joke about if he ever got arrested and convicted of something in California, he'd be like, "I'm a woman,"
Yeah. Yeah, you can't blame them. I mean, that's what a lot of the pedophiles and stuff do too. They as soon as they get arrested, they're a transgender, and it's a loophole that it shouldn't exist, but it is a thing. And there's also some good comments here. I'm seeing.
Do we really have a Love Minnesota now?
There is a Love Minnesota now.
Why do I get the feeling that is Tushy that created that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Why would he be asking for Liberty Longbeard?
Yeah. So Brad says, why did the Fed change course and start printing money before COVID? Insert conspiracy theory here. Good point.
Well, what's the point there? They've been printing money for a long time.
Right, so. Exactly. I think that's what he's getting at. He's saying that what is it that the Fed was doing to cause that? He's saying way before COVID, because obviously COVID was the big one that that's part of the reason why we are where we are now.
2008, 2009 financial collapse. That was the other time they expanded. Well, I think that's when they really introduced quantitative easing, because you have to buy up all the debt.
Yeah. And let's see. Love Minnesota says, asking ye shall receive. P.S. Where is Liberty Longbeard? And Base Minnesota says that Liberty Longbeard is crushing Thai curry flats from B-dubs while simultaneously burping and farting. And we got...
Do you get the sense Based Minnesota and Love Minnesota might be the same person?
I don't know. That'd be difficult to switch accounts like that and respond to each other. I don't know.
I know some people that are good at doing that.
You just have two devices.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And let's see. Hate Minnesota says they will cause a lot of plumbing problems for those tampons. That's probably a good point too. I didn't think about that, but there's definitely going to be tampons in the toilet.
Let's go back to this article here. So this is basically there's a $2 extra charge per pupil funding. The per pupil calculation. I can't remember what the per pupil calculation is right now, but $2 additional. So I guess like I'm speaking out of my ass on this one because it's very rare. Even as a married man, I would go into Victoria's Secrets 10 times more, 10 times how do I put this? I am less nervous going into Victoria's Secrets than going and getting tampons for my wife. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? There's two things that guys are a little uncomfortable doing, right? You don't know what I'm talking about, Dawson?
No, I'm different, I guess.
You would go buy tampons for your...
I grew up with a mom and 4 younger sisters.
Okay, I also grew up with a mom, but okay.
I mean, 4 younger sisters, though, and then I was the oldest, so I was the driving one. I kind of had to learn. And then I've had girlfriends for years, so...
Yeah, but none of the things you said other than you had 2 extra sisters than me makes us different.
Maybe
so,
I'm
like,
just
you don't get a
better at
little,
tamponing.
You don't find a little awkward buying tampons. You know what I'm talking about.
Well, it's definitely
you're more
awkward,
of a bro than Dawson, right, Jesse?
Jesse, how many times have you bought tampons?
Only a couple, but yeah. No,
I mean, you know what I'm saying.
It's always a little.
You're getting
awkward.
a little red in the face talking about
buying condoms, buying anything like that, buying anything that is a little weird.
Am I off basis on this? Let's hear from you guys, the guys out there. Am I off basis?
Well, I don't think there's any guy that prefers it.
Well, I'm not saying that. I mean,
going
apparently
and
Dawson's
buying
got a strong desire to go do that, but
No, I'm just saying that I'm better at it than you are. But that's
well, okay. I'll
give
you that one.
It's not a good thing. I don't think. But
all right. Well, you get what I'm saying. Now, what was my point I was trying to make?
I think that this is all a ploy by Big Tampon.
No, I know what I was going to say. $2. So I don't have a real understanding of the prices here that well, but I'm imagining. I mean, how many students between grades 4 and 12? Because so it's 50-50 boys and girls. But breaking news: boys can't menstruate, so that's already $4 per girl allocation, and then you just assume that. Yeah, I mean, it probably covers the cost. I guess. I don't know. Do you think they even looked into this? I mean, how nutty are these people? They assume that there's a large faction of people using the boys' bathroom that will use them?
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? I bet some of these schools aren't even going to do it. Some of these schools are probably just going to on their own say, this is a stupid rule. I'm not doing that.
Hold on one second. It says, according to law, a school district must provide students with access to menstrual products at no charge. And they must be available to all menstruating students in the restrooms regularly used by students.
Yeah.
So those are must.
Even then, though, I think there's a lot of rules that don't get followed. I just don't see every school actually following through on this. They're going to put them in the girls' bathroom. Are they going to put them in the boys' bathroom? The woke ones will.
Yeah, maybe until they get challenged, and it just takes one person to challenge.
Right.
them,
I mean, look at these schools in northern Minnesota. Are they going to put tampons in the boys' bathroom? No. And maybe it's going to spark a legal challenge and all kinds of good stuff. So I got a feeling that this issue isn't over.
I feel like this kind of thing could be solved. You don't put the tampons like in the bathrooms, but put it like between the 2 bathrooms, like one of those vending machine, whatever they use. Mm-hmm. So you could just like walk up and get one if you need one, and then go to the perspective.
It's probably out in public. Girls probably don't want to go up to a machine and buy a tampon for everybody.
Isn't their point that it shouldn't be like a bad thing to talk about your period or whatever?
It's not a bad thing. It's just don't. Don't talk about it.
Is this maybe the worst TV ever? 3 guys talking about menstruation and
right.
Buying tampons?
That's very fun.
Like, could we be talking out of ass more on a subject?
Right.
Bloody
And we're
noses.
political
no
experts.
experts here.
Yeah, we
Bloody-
don't know what the hell we're talking about.
Bloody noses are about to go down like crazy, though.
Well, that's me. The prepper mind is those are quick clots.
Or bullet wounds.
No, that's not a joke. Like
I
early
know.
Iraq, people were sending tampons to GIs because we could use them to plug a hole.
At this point-
sorry,
Yeah.
plug like a bullet hole.
Yeah, at this point,
quick catch of blood. Sorry.
Yeah.
at this point, maybe you need tamponades just in schools for all these crazy shootings that are
Yeah,
going on.
all these crazy shootings, and I know we might get to that topic too. There's
Probably
breaking
should.
story coming out of Iowa today that there's a school shooting. We don't have a lot of details yet, but it's not all these school shootings. I mean, now you're just taking the left wing media's talking points.
There's more school shootings than there should be.
Let's go to this here real quick. Breaking story out of Iowa, Perry, Iowa, so north of Des Moines. There's a school shooting. Let's just catch up here because there wasn't a lot. I got them lying like down a ways there, Dawson.
right.
This is of the Des Moines Register. I gotta get rid of this
Oh, okay,
picture.
gotcha.
Yeah, you see it?
Yep.
Get out, run. People yelled as shots fired at Perry High School in morning shooting. Looks like we do actually have a press conference. Let's go ahead and let's listen to that press conference here.
Is this guy here?
Yeah.
Infante, INFANTE. I'm the sheriff here in Dallas County. I'm joined by our state, local, and federal partners here at the Perry High School. This morning at approximately 7:37 a.m., we had a Sears radio activation at the high school, which indicated an active shooter situation. An officer first arrived within 7 minutes of that activation and located multiple gunshot victims. We're still unclear of exactly how many are injured or what the extent of those are, but we're working on that right now. There is no further danger to the public. The community is safe. We're just now working backwards, trying to figure out everything that happened and make notifications. There'll be another update later on today. It's still very early. This happened at approximately 7:37 this morning. School didn't start yet, luckily, so there was very few students and faculty in the building, which I think contributed to a good outcome in that sense. But we'll have more information later on this afternoon. We will not be releasing any more information in the meantime, so please be patient with us so that we can talk with these victims and their families and try and figure out what happened. We won't be answering any questions today either, for right now. We'll let you know later on this afternoon, what time we'll be meeting back with you again, and we hope to provide more detail then.
So can we, just to be clear, you don't have a number of people who were injured in this?
We're still working on that.
Have you identified the shooter?
Yes.
What's their current status? Are they alive or?
Oh, we'll get to that later on this afternoon.
Can you confirm if the shooter was a student?
Just stop it.
I-
I can't stand this crap. I mean,
Yeah, he's not.
you're
saying
a
whole
government
lot.
employee. You work for the people. Give us the fucking information, okay? And this pisses me off because I got kids in school. Pause this thing here, Dawson. I got kids in school, and that pisses me off. And I'm sorry. I'm trying. Let's New Year's resolution not to throw as many four-letter words on this show, but oh boy, does this piss me off. You got to get the information out, okay? I get it. It might be incorrect, but a simple answer of we know the guy is dead. Okay, and it looks like Des Moines Register has that information, luckily. But you got to answer those questions.
Mm-hmm.
Like this isn't like I'm just trying to think about it, and this is tricky. Like if my kid's school had this happen to him, I rushed that school. I don't know how they're holding me back from getting into that school.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you want police to secure the scene, but all that's out of the window. Like the number one thing for me is to protect my children. Number one, and number two, which is pretty close, is as many children as possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you want to protect your children.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
I think
I
those
don't
two
like
things,
it
by the way,
either.
I can think those two things live simultaneously. But
Mm-hmm.
my quest is to go find my damn children.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I just hate when I can kind of understand not answering the. Well, you should just be willing to answer questions and say we don't know. Just say that. That's fine. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, pisses me off. All right, I want to show you something. How much how junky the Des Moines Register is. Go back to that article. Click on Des Moines Register on the top. Let's back out. This is already what the Des Moines Register is doing. People who know politics and national politics know the Des Moines Register is a liberal rag. Scroll down here. You're going to see, keep going down. Right there, you see DeSantis? They're already commenting here. This is the headline. DeSantis, after Iowa school shooting, Ron DeSantis proposes no new gun regulations. Gun restrictions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we can't even just go to the humanity of this freaking event, you know?
Yeah, they have to bring it to politics. They have to bring it to
Exactly.
DeSantis. It's not good what they want to do. And yeah, it has nothing to do with DeSantis and his view on gun laws. I'm not sure, I don't know the specifics of this case, but in most mass shootings, what you end up finding is the case is there was no legal means to prevent that person from obtaining a firearm. Or if they did illegally obtain the firearm, how are you supposed to prevent that as well? So, these people think that putting more laws on the books are going to do something to, stop these mass shootings. All it's going to do is limit and hinder the abilities of constitutional, law-abiding citizens.
Okay, so here's another thing. Let's pull up this article. When we were doing a show prep at 10 o'clock and first uncovered the story, which would have been breaking at that point. There was no information at that point. This is the article that was already up on the Des Moines Register, and this is off their front page. This is line 15 there, Dawson. They already had an article about the history of shootings in Iowa. Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
This is like on the front page as the story's breaking. Well, let's make sure we all understand that guns are the problem, and let's have what did they have this article already ready to go?
Yeah, I know. It is gross that, that's the first thing they want to put out there. Let's make a history of the school shootings. Let's try to rile the people up. That's what they want to do. It's not a good, it's not an honest, fair discussion.
So, and we don't need to belabor this because, people talk about this stuff all the time, and I really am taking the bait here and bringing in the politics. But in the end of the day, the gun restrictions don't do jack shit, okay? Why do we have this problem in America? Well, it's really two really big things. Number one, we've had this degradation of the institution of the family. Marriage and the institution of a family. That's the most important institution in our world is the family. And you got high divorce rates. Nowadays, people don't even want to get married. By the way, it's like $40,000 to get married. It's like the average wedding cost. Did you know that's freaking crazy?
It's nuts.
A friend of mine just got engaged, and that's what they were telling me. And then, when you get into certain segments of the country, the black community, you have enormous fatherless children. Like, that is 100% what's going on here. Kids that are being raised in broken households.
Right. And
Number
there's,
two is
even tax incentives to that kind of stuff. When you look into it, that, you get more as a single mother than you would with a father in the household. And, that kind of stuff. We shouldn't be having these tax loopholes to lead people towards immoral behavior. It's better to just have two-parent households. Obviously, you can't force everyone to do that. That's not going to be the case. We have a country of freedom, but, we should encourage the population to live good lives that are going to lead to success.
They used to have shooting sports in schools.
Yeah.
Now they're after-school curriculum. I brought my bow to school. Like my bow and arrow to school when I was in high school. Some people, maybe we have people in the show old enough to remember guns being shot in school for target practice, probably 22s. So the guns were actually available in school. Just rarely available. There's a different problem going on. Number two is the medication of children. Like, I come from the generation where they're just spoon-feeding kids Ritalin. Nowadays, I don't even know how many psychiatric drugs there are, and these are being found. So, if you're going to get into the politics, stop trying to disarm law-abiding citizens who need those firearms so that we don't have tyrannical governments, right?
Well, and they're overdiagnosing ADHD. They're overdiagnosing so much of this stuff for young kids, and it's unfortunate because you're right that big pharma loves to get these kids and adults hooked onto these drugs so that they're totally reliant on the pharmaceutical industry just to feel normal in the head. A lot of it's being overdiagnosed and or just misrepresented as false things. So yeah, not all these drugs are safe. It might be FDA approved, but it's not like the FDA has been nothing but trustworthy with us in the past.
All right, just want to make sure if you guys haven't liked this episode, make sure you like it on Rumble or YouTube and Facebook, all the platforms you watch it on. Let those algorithms know that you want to be a part of the show.
And we're still waiting for a Rumble rant. So come on, people, let's make it
Off
happen.
to bad year, huh? 2024,
Yeah.
dang.
Season 2 is underway.
Season 2, yeah, I know. I always found it cringy to say you got a season, but
Yeah.
it is the thing. All right, let's go to let's go back to tampon story real quick to show you the votes. So this passed by basically unanimous Democrat support. Here's the vote in the Senate. You notice Carla Nelson, the Senator Carla Nelson, not the Patriot Carla Nelson, voted with all Democrats in passing this bill. Shockingly, Abler didn't vote for it.
Yeah, I know. That was my first thought. I thought, Democrat bill sounds like an Abler thing.
Right. Then you've got in the House, you don't have Republicans voting for it, but you do have rural Democrats like Dave Lislegard. If you remember Dave Lislegard, he's that con artist legislator who's basically living in a Republican district who voted for this. Oh, you also got Dan Wogelmatt. Dan Wogelmatt, who likes to chug bottles of vodka in the parking lots of rural liquor stores.
Yeah.
So.
And Brian Curran, the ogre, who identifies as a she-they, or what was it, a gay-they.
Gay-they.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, let's go to this story, as I did not want to miss this one, and no one's really talking about this. Democrats. Oh, boy, this is such a interesting little deal. So Democrats in the legislature, or in the Senate, and I'm sorry, in the House and the Senate.
in the Congress, yeah.
In the Congress. So they want to show it's not just Biden who's benefiting from foreign entanglements. Donald Trump is receiving money from China and Qatar and all the other countries, and he is compromised. Let's pull up this article from Yahoo News. Yahoo News, by the way, is basically just a Marxist rag at this point. We all know that, don't we? Yahoo News junk. Do we have a Rumble Rant here?
Oh, yeah. Yep, we got a Rumble Rant here. Tucker91 says, keeping the streak alive with $5, so appreciate that, Tucker.
Thanks,
Tucker
Tucker.
also said, shooting sports should make a comeback, or so I've heard. Trap shooting is becoming more popular with kids.
It is, and I love it. I absolutely love it.
And we got another Rumble Rant. People are paying attention. Brad Ganser says, for $10, last year's legislation should have provided enough content for all of the content for Season 2 of The Truth Hurts.
Well,
That's true.
Fair point. Yeah, fair point, Brad. And thanks for joining us on the 100th episode. That was fun. Brad
Yeah.
hardly got a word in with that Tushy.
Yeah.
Tushy was interesting. All right. So Democrats apparently were trying to investigate. I didn't even know this was happening. Did you know about this?
No.
This is back when they were in control.
There's a million different investigations into Trump, so yeah, tell me something new, right?
I know, because this is the one that really didn't matter. Okay,
Yeah.
so this is what they say. Donald Trump received money from foreign governments when he was in the White House. This is literally hilarious. Okay, so they're alleging he received $7.8 million from corrupt and authoritarian governments, including China, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar. Or Qatar. I think it's Qatar. I've actually been to Qatar. I learned it was Qatar when you're there, but it seems like everyone on the earth wants to call it Qatar. What do you say? Do you ever say it?
I say Quater. No, I don't know.
Quater?
No, I think it's Qatar, but I don't really know either. Yeah, it's one of those things, it's like when people say Iran, Iran, I think both of them work.
All right. Well, I'm going to say Qatar because that's what I was told when I went there. Okay. By the way, not that they're English speaking. All
Yeah.
right. So I'm going to scroll down here in the article.
Yeah, and
It says-
Tucker91 says what I had told you earlier as well. Speaking of Qatar, Bob Menendez took Qatar bribes, which is true. So it's not just Egypt that our U.S. Senator from New Jersey is sold out to. It's also Qatar here.
All right, here we go. The limited documents obtained by the House Oversight Democrats show that Trump received, get this, right? This is how you know Donald Trump's compromised. He received $7.8 million in foreign payments to his businesses during his presidency, according to the report. $7.8 million over 4 years, so under $2 million to a multi-billion-dollar business. Yeah, it seems like Donald Trump is very compromised. Now, didn't he divest himself from the businesses when he became president?
Right. Yeah, and I think it was all given over to Don Jr. and Eric Trump. It was all put under his son's names while he was president, because you can't be running a business while you're president. It's a conflict of interest. So,
which you understand. Everyone understands, and Donald Trump understood. I don't think he was fighting against it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And, just like anybody would do, in that situation. So, Trump did the right thing, divested himself, like he said, hands the business over to his sons. So we're supposed to be mad at his sons for keeping the business profitable. We're supposed to be mad at them for doing good deals. And, it's one of those things, Trump has properties all over the world, hotels all over the world. Those require maintenance. Those require employees. Those require different transactions. Sometimes you're buying property. Sometimes you're selling property. Of course, deals are going to be made. So I don't know what they expected. I think they're mad at, Trump simply for existing. And for, having a business that's successful.
You got to the point.
Yeah, right.
It's existing. That's exactly it.
Yeah. It's a crime to exist if you're a Trump.
Yeah, you can't exist if you're Trump.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is how ridiculous this is. They say the committee confirmed a payment of $19,391 from the Chinese embassy to a Trump hotel in Washington. We're just like, that sounds like they rented out a room for a day. Mm-hmm. Like, they got the East Hall, right? I mean, that might not even be the going rate. It might be less than that, So, or I mean, more than that. So maybe 19,000 was. But like, this is the things they're drawing. First of all, Donald Trump's got a legitimate business. I mean, is anyone questioning that? Well, I guess a judge in New York is, because Mar-a-Lago's only worth like what, $2?
Yeah, yeah.
So he's got legitimate business. Meanwhile, like, there's no legitimate business to what Hunter Biden's doing, and 10% for the big guy. That's a fraud. It's a joke, right? That's clearly selling influence. $2 million is nothing to a guy that runs a $1 billion corporation, right?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, $2 million is everything when all you're doing is consulting. I would $2 million is a big consulting fee I would ever charge, right? That's what Hunter Biden does. So what a joke.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing because, it's, Trump is a billionaire. He can't be bought. It's like, there might be these deals, but is that corrupting him? No way, because like I said, he's a billionaire. He can't be bought. He can't be sold. But like you're saying in the case of Hunter Biden, where that's his main revenue is, doing these corrupt deals, it's everything to them.
Well, here's how you buy and sell a billionaire. You ready for it? Because I think you got a good point. You get the goods on them. And that brings us in the Epstein client list, right?
Yeah.
Big story. Bill Gates being part of that crew. Like, what do you do to Bill Gates? Bill Gates was wealthiest guy on the planet, still top 5 wealthiest people. What can you do to Bill Gates? Like, seriously. Like, the guy's got all the money in the world.
Yeah. No, it's a tough one. And, I just seen another thing. RFK Jr. said that, he admitted that he had known Epstein. And he even said that I had my kids on his airplane with him. So apparently they've met, but he says he never went to the island or anything. I don't know all the full details of that, but
all right, can we get into this here? All right. First of all, the Epstein client list, I don't really think I was getting a little suspect that this thing was worth anything. Maybe the worth of this release is that some people who probably know the name Epstein but don't understand that Bill Clinton was flying with him, maybe that helps, okay? Go to our Twitter account real quick, Dust. I want to show a picture. But, first of all, Trump flew on Epstein's plane. And I'm trying to think, like, okay, where do I go? This is bullshit. So you just said RFK's flown on the plane. Trump's flown on the plane. It's like, I don't come from a world, and I'm guessing most of the people watching our show don't come from a world where we're frequently flying on private jets. Okay?
Yeah.
I know one fan of the show does, but and I know Mark Anderson flew some private jets, but other than that, I don't think a lot of us come from the world where we're regularly flying private jets. So is this like just how the world works if you're a guy like Trump? Because he does have his own plane, but is that possible that he, let's imagine you and I had the ability to take off for the weekend, and I'd be like, Jesse, come, let's hang out on the weekend. We're going to get in the car, and we're going to drive up to Virginia, Minnesota, or something like that. We're not flying, but to these guys, they fly, right? So is it anything? What are your thoughts on that? Is that something that he flew on the plane?
I don't know. It's tough to tell, and like you're saying, it's nothing for them to go on a private jet and do everything like that, and so I don't know. It's a tough one to know all of the details, and I think it's one of those things where Epstein, he's not friends with any normal people. He might have a couple of normal people employed for him to work as a maid or something, but it's not like Epstein was friends with regular people. He only wanted celebrities. He only wanted powerful people. He only wanted politicians. So those were the only people he was ever looking to hang out with. And I think he's the kind of guy, he's always looking to impress these people. You know, he's a showman. He's trying to impress these people, say, look at what I've got and check out my island. It's the greatest thing ever. So I think that, you know, it would have been so interesting to know all of the details of, you know, what these meetings were like, what his personality was like, because I don't know if you had seen what his brother had done on there. Maybe we should even watch these if you haven't seen it yet, because Tucker Carlson put a couple of things on YouTube, a couple of YouTube shorts, where Jeffrey Epstein's brother was demanding information from, you know, to show all of the documents and paperwork for where Jeffrey Epstein was taken to the hospital.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, they're saying, oh, the paperwork doesn't exist. It should be in the system, but it's not in the system. And he's demanding these answers. So that's a really interesting thing that, you know, I don't know all the answers to. And it's interesting that Jeffrey Epstein's brother might be the biggest truth teller in this entire thing.
Right.
And I'm seeing Brad Ganser has a Rumble rant here, $5. He said, I want to know who was on the plane when it went to Pedo Island. Exactly.
Yes,
that's the important part.
Exactly. That's the important one. I was just saying, who's gone on the plane? Because, you know, you could take a plane ride to Hamptons or to I always say Sweet Martha's Island. That's how Minnesota I am. Sweet Martha's Island.
Yeah.
Martha's Vineyard. Sweet Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome. I want to go to Sweet Martha's Island.
I can't say Martha anymore without saying sweet.
That's
Yeah.
That is how Minnesota I am. Sweet Martha's Vineyard. I even call it island. Martha's Vineyard. I don't know why. It's been like that for years. I just can't say that word. Okay.
Yeah.
Martha's Vineyard. So, you know, it's probably pretty normal, to be honest with you. Well, shit, the president flies everywhere. Like, president just goes anywhere. He's on Marine One and then if he's got to go really far, he gets on Air Force One.
Yeah, Javier Milei, the new libertarian Argentinian president, he flies coach, even as president. It's kind of cool to see, you know, and he gets all the people rallied up in the plane and everything. So, but you know, that's not feasible for our country. You know, I guess Jimmy Carter.
I think that's what I would do if I was president. I'd get rid of Air Force One.
Yeah,
I would make the president a much more humble job.
Mm-hmm.
I personally think that when it comes to Epstein, I'm not a fan of anybody that has anything to do with Epstein. I think that if you're with him, it's just
yeah.
bad.
But unless you didn't know,
no,
you
that's
know,
a great point.
Not everyone knows
but what if
what's going on.
Yeah, what if you didn't know, Dawson?
What if I didn't know what?
Well,
You just think he's an investor. You know, if you didn't know that, you just thought, you know, this guy is kind of a screwball, but you don't know he's a pedophile. You don't know he's got this island and all that.
But he is a pedophile with a pedophile island.
Yeah, but people didn't know that. You know,
Not
I
until
remember
whenever the conviction came out before, and what was that, 2014, 2015 or something?
Right, but now we know that without a doubt he is a pedophile with a pedophile
but let's say
island.
Trump was hanging out with them in
The 90s.
The 90s, right?
Yeah.
Before any of that was known. The guy obviously had charisma, right? Friendly guy, very sociable.
I mean, I suppose.
Yeah,
You know, part of his gig was he had this unexplained wealth, and he invested in the science and the arts.
Okay.
So he had
so
access
people
to
saw him
people.
kind of as like a humanitarian in a certain way
Yes.
too, you know, and that's the thing that we all know what we know of Epstein now, but you know, before any of that information's out there, people just think, you know, this guy's kind of a squirrely, cool, rich guy who's doing his own thing. You know, people didn't know what was going
Let's
on with all
imagine
that.
this for a second. Let's say you're Donald Trump and you got a foundation. I don't remember what it's called. I'm sure I think they tried to cancel that in New York. And so you have this foundation. You have a big event. And you have an auction. And the winning auction is someone who put in like $500,000. You're going to want to go have dinner with that guy.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know him, but I mean,
Yeah.
that guy that's just how things work.
Right, but you know, also Melinda Gates, she says that basically the first time that she met Epstein, that she had like, you know, chills down her spine, that she could feel an evil presence. So, you know, maybe it's one of those things that some people were able to pick up on, especially probably later on in life, because Melinda Gates was asking Bill, you know, who is this guy? Why are you meeting with him? And then as soon as the Epstein stuff came out, she was out of there.
You see
know?
so many people who get duped by, well, jeez, this happens every election cycle. People get duped by politicians.
Yeah.
So why is anyone shocked you can get duped by a guy like Jeffrey Epstein. But once you know who he is, or once you see who he is, right, and that's the question, did they see it? Let's pull up our Twitter here, actually for Liberty's Twitter. This is a picture of Bill Clinton getting a massage from obviously a young girl, but she happens to be a victim of one of Jeffrey Epstein's victims. This is in a small airport. You know, this is the thing that now all the stuff in here is speculation from this release. Okay, it was said from Jeffrey Epstein's mouth, or at least was portrayed in the documents, that Epstein said that President Clinton likes them young. What does that mean? I mean, we all know he likes 18-year-old interns at the White House, right?
When was the last time that Bill Clinton was with Epstein? Can't you make the same argument that you're making about Trump not knowing Epstein? Can't you make that same argument with
There's
Bill?
a lot more in Bill Clinton, but yes, you could.
Okay.
Yeah, and
But there's
people
a
think
lot
Clinton's
more in
been
Bill
on
Clinton.
the island. You know,
But what if people think Trump's been on the island?
they've never shown anything to indicate anything like that.
But that's a great question. So
Right.
let's put this out to you guys. I want to hear what you guys say at home. Donald Trump's found out to have been on that island. I mean, is that
Yeah.
revoke
Oh, yeah.
your
If
support?
Trump's a pedophile, everyone would.
What if he's not a pedophile, but he went to the island?
What are you doing at the island? You know, I don't
Right.
think.
Can you imagine getting conned into going to that island? You get there and it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, you think you're just going to a big party. You know, you think at worst drugs or something, and then you find out, oh no, they're pedophiles.
I mean, Donald Trump was a real estate mogul in New York City in the 80s. The guy's been to parties with cocaine in it, right? Let's just be honest. The guy has been to he's
Badass.
been places, right? But yeah, once you see that suspect stuff, you know, it is sad if you didn't even know it was happening. But we'll never know. If you could find out any of these guys have been on an island, wouldn't it be lights out? I would just automatically assume they did something suspect.
Yeah, I think that my tolerance is a little bit lower because, like, so David Copperfield is listed as one of the guys in the big document of people, and I grew up as a magician. I love David Copperfield. I watched his stuff, and now I just don't like him anymore because of that. I guess it's kind of like
Yeah,
him
but what did they
getting
say
canceled.
about Copperfield?
Well, I don't care.
Why don't you
for
care?
myself
Because can't
personally.
you make an argument? He's just on a flight. Like, it's just how they live.
But then can't you say that about every single person on there, and then like who cares about who knew Epstein and who Epstein knew?
I mean, they definitely got to get to the bottom of it. I mean,
Right.
that's the thing. Anyone who's guilty of anything here should be charged. And you know, they shouldn't let anybody go in that situation. So I think you're right, Dawson. But we need all the facts first. You know, I can't write someone off just for knowing Epstein. You know, I can write them off once I see enough fact and you know, evidence to make me think that they were on the island doing that kind of stuff.
Is there more investigative stuff going on right now? What's the
This got
timeline?
dropped yesterday evening. We haven't had a long chance to go through it. We can pull this up. It's on our document, Dawson. Line.
Are the courts still like looking into
No,
something?
yeah. Look at line 12. You can pull that up. That's the documents here. This was the big release. You could probably put that in the thread here so people go ahead and see it.
Jesse, would you be able to do that?
You know what? Let's do it after the show,
Okay.
so people after the show can see it. But
It's big. There's
it
a lot
is
of
big,
stuff.
yeah.
here.
And then many documents. This is according to Fox News. Famed American magician David Copperfield allegedly had dinner with the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein and a few of his victims, according to court documents unsealed Wednesday. Attorney Sigrid McCauley asked an accuser of Epstein, Johannes Schulberg, and Schulberg's like the big name in all this, and his former lover and accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell if she met Copperfield. Yes, she said. The document is part of a May 2016 deposition. By the way, May 2016. That's how long they've held on to this. Someone called me from the house and said that he would be there. This is a quote from her. And if I wanted to come to have dinner, then I could meet him. So when I arrived at the house, he wasn't there yet. And there was another girl there, which I had never met and never seen. She seemed young. Schulberg then said Copperfield, quote, did some magic tricks, end quote, at dinner and said he was a friend of Epstein's. Schulberg said Copperfield, who was previously accused of sexually assaulting a teen model in 1988, questioned her whether she was, quote, aware that girls were getting paid to find other girls, end quote. Did he tell you any specifics to that? No. Now, listen, here's the other thing. This is really fascinating. So another name that came out was Alan Dershowitz.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the famed trial lawyer and
constitutional
Harvard professor.
attorney, right?
Yeah. And he is basically saying that he, the person who named, I think it was alleged rape, says now that she doesn't believe she had it right. So this is one person's account of something like this. So this just goes back to the fact that Epstein was a monster. So is Giselle, whatever you want to call her. How the hell did this guy keep getting off, and why is he surrounded by all these rich and famous people? I don't know if we ever get to the bottom, per se, of all this stuff. I know that the New York Post did an article, and this was a while ago, showing the what they found at Epstein's place. We should show you that. Here.
I think that the hard part comes with how, like, I see a lot of the time how Bill Clinton was friends with Epstein, and then on the other side I see a lot that Trump was friends with Epstein. And it's just a double standard on both ends, and it's so annoying to look at. It's like something's got to come out, or I'm gonna lose my mind, because it's just back and forth, one or the other. Who's the worst one, and we can't know.
Well, I don't think a lot of people think Trump was, Trump was anywhere close to what the influence was over Bill Clinton. Well, look at this.
I mean, why not?
There's a photo on Epstein's Island of Bill Clinton in a blue dress signifying Monica Lewinsky's dress, sitting in the armchair of a just a chair, not a recliner, but whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't think it even is close. But yes, I would say if Trump was,
if there's a picture of him in a dress,
it's crazy.
It is weird, and that's one of those things that, like, I don't think that Epstein just had that for no reason. I think it was, it was obviously he had something on Clinton. And, I don't know, though. I mean, who can explain what was going on in that picture? I have no idea.
There's this
Dad of eight, can you post the name of that TikTok account? I want to take a peek at it.
What TikTok account?
Yeah, Dad of 8 said Iowa shooter was a member of the LGBTQ community who had a TikTok account with a rainbow flag on it, along with the
wait.
hashtag gender fluid. Yeah. Story will go away quickly.
Who's saying this?
That's Dad of 878.
Dad
of 878.
Oh, Dad of 8's been part of our show before, right? Let's look into that here. Just look on line 17. I just posted this, Dawson. This is what came in Jeffrey Epstein's Manhattan home. This is back from like 2021. You can see, you'll look at that crazy thing. Like
that.
Isn't that crazy? But look, there's a bunch of black binders. Oh, there's some, what are those videotapes? I can't remember what that was. Oh, hard drives. But somewhere in there is, if I remember this right, there's a bunch of DVDs labeled something. But there was like black binders, if I remember this right. There it is. Scroll down. Keep going. I was looking on my computer.
This is Epstein's house?
This is Epstein's house, yeah. In Manhattan. One more, I think, right there. That's what we want to know.
What?
Right there. That's what we will never probably know.
What is it?
The black binders containing part of the extensive CD collection. That's what we'd want to know, because the dirt or the rub on this guy is he was collecting information on people.
Yeah, I'm sure he was filming them. Maybe without their knowledge too, so that all of a sudden he says, "And by the way, I got a video of that. So don't you ever try to go around and do something about me." And, that's what I would take, that, Epstein does it so that he has something on them and so that they can't do anything to call him out. And, Alan Dershowitz, it's pretty interesting what, is going on with him, because it seems pretty obvious it was him. I don't want to get sued by Alan Dershowitz. I'm just saying that, it seems that way. And, it seemed like he was intimidating the victim to scare her into not doing anything about it. And, I don't know. I don't fully trust Alan Dershowitz, but he's a hell of a lawyer. He's a really smart guy, but that doesn't mean that he can't also be evil.
It always amazes me. It's not that hard to not be a piece of garbage. It's really not that hard. This looks like a lot of effort to put into being a piece of garbage.
You're saying for Epstein?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Just like, oh my gosh, you've got evidence folders and CDs and binders, and it's like, Don't you just want to play a video game or something?
Yeah, I know. Couldn't he just live a chilled out life? But
Gosh.
yeah, and also I'm seeing Brad Ganser says, Dawson, you might be a little off here. You should read up a little more on Trump's connection to Epstein. Dad of 8 says, go on Libs of TikTok Twitter page from an hour ago. So it looks like the Libs of TikTok.
I'll go look at
Twitter.
that. But what is Brad saying?
Brad, I do see your point. I have not looked into this stuff very much. It's one. So most of the information I'm finding on this stuff is on Twitter because I'm excited to see what names are coming out about the Epstein stuff, and it's liberal accounts will post Trump with Epstein, Trump's evil, and then conservative accounts will post Bill Clinton is with Epstein, Bill Clinton is horrible, and it's just like and then there's people joking about, oh man, I can't believe Rihanna was on Epstein's island, and it's so hard to navigate because everybody can get.
Well, and Aaron
tons
Rodgers,
of
he was
views.
saying that Jimmy Kimmel had something to do with it, and then Jimmy, or maybe it was Jimmy Fallon. I can't
Jimmy
keep.
Kimmel.
Yeah.
Jimmy Kimmel, yeah, and Jimmy Kimmel said, I'm gonna sue you, and it's one of those things that he can't even sue him in that kind of case when you look at the actual if you want to sue someone for defamation, you have to prove that the person who said it knows for a fact that it's not true. He can't prove that about Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers could say, that's what I thought. I thought he was a part of it. So there's nothing he can do about that. I'd also seen Brad had said, where did it go here? He also said there was no evidence to show RFK Jr. or Trump was on the island. So, I'm going to look into this Libs of TikTok thing, too.
I've got it already. It's line 16, but I've actually got Daily Mail's reporting on it.
You're going to news sources?
Yeah,
about
boy, I'm so hesitant to do this right now. So what we're going to show you is I do not feel like this
Maybe fake news?
Well, I'm not saying that. I mean, Daily Mail, which is kind of a tabloid, line 18, Dawson.
Line 18.
I mean, it's not like I wouldn't say that they're a fake news site. They
Oh,
are a
Libs of
tabloid.
TikTok just posted another thing a minute ago here.
Yeah.
So
This is Daily Mail. Pictured suspect Iowa school shooter Dylan Butler, who injured 3 people, including the principal, before turning the gun on himself. Dylan Butler, who was a senior at Perry High School, was named as a suspected gunman by local news outlet WHO 13. Let's just go. We're gonna do a fact check right now. WHO 13, which is the ABC or NBC affiliate. NBC affiliate in Des Moines. I'm just going to make sure that this is accurate, that they've got...
I'm looking for
I'm not
this
seeing the
account.
name in here. Oh, Who's 13? Lindsey Burrell spoke with... oh, no, that's not it. I would imagine that the name is getting leaked out, not maybe through official channels. Sorry, guys. We're doing a live fact check. I'm sure you
sorry.
appreciate this, but we're trying to figure this out before we sign off today, trying to get you some updated information.
Did they remove the
Thanks to
TikTok
Dad
account?
of 8. Dad of 8, 78. Does that mean Dad of 8 was born in 1978?
maybe.
Probably. Makes sense. You got at
Well,
it pretty early.
None of these metrics.
You'd have
are
8 children
exactly
out
the same.
by now, because 78 means he's 45 years old.
Oh, we got it from Daily Mail. I see.
This is according to Libs of TikTok, which,
Yeah.
they do pretty good work.
I'm looking for that account itself. I am not finding.
Get scrubbed. You know how this works.
Yeah.
This stuff gets scrubbed. Boy, you'd
Yeah.
hate to just see fake news, but
Right, and also you kind of can't even blame TikTok for taking it down eventually, but I mean, obviously it should be up for investigative purposes so people can look into it and
Well, I mean, it's,
discover what's going on.
it's probably up for police and stuff like that to
Maybe.
investigate into it. I would say that the
I
population.
wonder about
doesn't need
how
to.
that works if TikTok cooperates with police and all that kind of stuff.
It's so hard to know. I think it makes sense for it to be taken down for people to, because I don't think that the public should necessarily have access to the TikTok of the killer, because that's going to lead to a lot of weird stuff.
Yeah.
But I just hope we get information.
I mean, but it's one of those things, the information is information. We can't shield everybody from it. And, Yeah, I mean, it sounds like there's probably some crazy stuff on this TikTok. I wish it
feel
was
bad
still
about
out there.
this. Let's abandon this because you know what? I mean, it might be true, okay, but it's too preliminary, and boy, you'd hate it if that was a kid that's not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's what I'm
Yeah.
worried about too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll have to dig more in and see
And
where the
we are
truth
not
is.
coming to any conclusion. We're just showing you what's on the internet right now. I think we have a really weird job here. Truth Hurts News is to bring you cutting edge information as it flows, but it doesn't mean people always get it right. So
At least we're talking about how we might not be right and that this could be fake news and stuff. Other places
Yeah.
would just say no. Well,
Well, everyone wants to get the scoop. It's a great point, Dawson. Everyone wants to get the scoop on something, but you better make sure you're right.
Yep.
Especially if it's a minor. I don't know. It says this kid was a senior. It could still be a minor. It could be a 17-year-old kid.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, 18-year-olds are really kids too, but not in the idea of
What
law.
is-
Actually, I don't know Iowa law. Maybe 17 is a.
What is
Yeah, there are some states where actually 17 is adulthood, and 17 is when you can start going to jail, regular prisons and everything. So, yeah, it just depends on the state. I don't know about Iowa.
You know, it's obviously people on our side want to see the story, you know, being a troubled transgender person because then it's the narrative the media is hiding it. Clearly, that was what happened in Tennessee, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we
But
never got that.
I don't know if this is the case here. No matter what, if you go into school and first of all, a self-inflicted gunshot wounds you're suicidal too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, you hate humanity. That's the problem, and you've gone to a point in your brain is not healthy.
Yeah.
So it doesn't sound like there's any deaths right now. It sounds like the kid took.
Besides the one.
Well, you know, you kind of cheer for the shooter dying, right? I always do, don't you guys? I
Yeah.
cheer for the shooter.
I mean,
He
obviously,
himself. Think of the tax money that's saved and everything,
Yeah,
and
but
the
I mean-
fact that you don't have to actually try the person.
but the best way the story goes is if like a hero comes in and kills the killer. You know,
100%.
that's the best way. You know, the killer taking their own life. You know, that's kind of one of those avoiding responsibility type of things. But yeah, I mean, obviously, it's better for the tax dollars if we don't have to house and feed and provide for the daily lives of these killers.
What I'm
Yep.
saying, we need more like Jeffrey Dahmers that are just like alive and kicking, and they become celebrities and they live for it too, and then they die later. These people, it seems.
What the hell are you talking
It
about?
seems like they're doing this.
no.
for
Go back
clout.
to Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah.
Expand that a little bit. I
We
didn't get your reference.
We need
there.
more serial killers that are like cool. We need more serial killers.
I wouldn't call Dahmer cool. I mean,
What are you
it's
saying?
interesting. It's interesting, but not cool.
Well, I mean,
Cool
you
in
think
what regard?
he got a Netflix show?
You know he's dead, right?
Yeah, I'm part of the media. My job is to get the scoops on these and make them into movies and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I can't make
God.
anything from these shootings. I need something solid.
Dahmer is an interesting guy.
Yeah.
Dahmer, cause I know Dahmer because I grew up in Wisconsin in the 90s. I'm sorry, no Dahmer.
Wait, is he
no
in that?
Dahmer?
Is he from Wisconsin?
Yeah, it was Milwaukee area.
I did not know that.
I mean, that's a way different side of the state. I grew up western Wisconsin. I've always been on the Minnesota border, but you're just kind of part of Wisconsin. You know of the Dahmer story.
That's super messed
So when they made that wonderful Netflix show, that was really good.
Yeah.
Kind of brought those memories back. But he was an interesting guy because he knew what he was doing was wrong. He just couldn't help it.
Yeah.
There's I think Inside Edition and ABC maybe, they both got like one-on-one with Dahmer when he was in prison before he was killed. And by the way, became a Christian
Tracks.
and said, I should not be out of here. Like, because he had this like impulse that he had to do it.
Mm.
And he knew he was sick and he knew he was wrong, right?
You know another one of those?
No, go ahead.
Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah. Well,
Bring
we're
back
talking about real
Lecter.
people, but Hannibal Lecter's Hannibal Lecter is just pure evil though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's got a really good movie too.
Like, can you say Dahmer was pure evil when the guy knew what he was doing was wrong? He knew that he shouldn't be part of society and then found Christ later on in life?
I mean, well,
I assuming he's genuine, but you watch the Inside Edition and
Yeah.
whoever else did, you look at the guy and you go, this is a puzzling one. You just want to put him in a category they're just pure evil. But pure evil to me would be like, you want to get away with it. You want to do this stuff. He almost kind of want to get caught.
Well,
just
I
had
would
this-
say that he was pure evil because he can say that he's good and he might be good inside, but his actions are evil, and I think you're more so your actions.
Oh, no
than
doubt
you
about
are.
it. You could have action.
I think
evil
your
action.
actions speak more to your character more than your character is.
No, it's not congruent with. Well, okay. What? Ganser, that's fake news. You don't know he was a Bears fan. That's fake news.
Ugh.
Yeah. The other person that comes to mind too is Charles Manson. You know, there's all the interviews and everything
Yeah,
that
that
are
was a
out there.
CIA
but-
operative.
Yeah, maybe. You know, I don't know all the details there.
Different story there.
But yeah.
Was that the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood thing that was going on?
Yeah, I haven't seen that movie, but I believe that's what it was about.
Okay,
Yeah,
Yeah, I haven't seen
I
it.
gotta see that movie.
that's a good movie. It's long. Be careful.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's a good place to end it. Yeah, I'm sure the story will unfold later on in the day, but that's all we know at this point with school shooting. I
We'll
feel
keep
real
you
bad for the
updated, yeah.
families, but doesn't look like right now someone died, so that's good. Oh well, other than the perpetrator.
Yep.
So that's good too.
Yeah.
All right. We'll be back on Tuesday. Got some big things. I'm sorry we weren't here last Tuesday. We just got some big things going on. Some a lot of moving pieces behind the scenes. I don't want to get into it now, but we'll kind of update you as things go. But good things happening in 2024. So stay tuned. We appreciate all you guys for tuning in, and see you next week.